Namaste, Jai Hind, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on this very, very special effort here on The Right Stand. My name is Anand Narasimhan. On Monday, we had shared with you the summary and the key aspects of the ASI report on the Gyanvapi complex. And somewhere we tailed off towards the end, asking this question that if, according to the tenets of Islam, a place of prayer has to be built on a land that has been legally bought with a clear title from a person who actually owns it or who gives it, and it's deemed waqf, and that's where, as per the Islamic scriptures, this is a place where the ASI very clearly in its report, and I have that summary copy with me, and the last line very clearly reads, ladies and gentlemen, that there existed a Hindu temple prior to the construction of the existing structure. So the temple predates, and that also the documents of Masir-e-Alamgir etc. show very clearly that a temple was broken and the foundations of it were actually made to build a place of prayer where, as per the actual tenets of Islam, you can't pray. You're not supposed to pray. So aren't these just victory monuments, or isn't this aspect of supremacism that has been established over places of Hindu astha? Alright, this was done about 400-500 years ago in the 1670s, 1680s, around the time of life and times of Aurangzeb. Why should this continue to exist even today, 75 years after our independence? Is there not a place of astha for one where another cannot go and pray or should not go and pray? Why is it that it is so difficult to reach a solution? Why can't there be an amicable, amiable solution for the larger, greater good of Bharat and Bharatiya? Because Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, Jain, however you want to see us from a religious prism, we are all bound by the fact that we are all Bharatiya. We are all one nation. So why not for each other, for the greater good and for the progress of our country, arrive at a possible amiable solution? What is the amiable solution? Clearly, a place of astha for Hindus has to be given back to them. A place where Muslims cannot go and pray, they should vacate, because they by their own tenets, they're not supposed to do it. That's the argument. Let's try and take it forward with very learned gentlemen who are joining us today on this panel. Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar with us. Ratan Sharda, author and RSS researcher is with us. Dushan Sridhar, Vedic speaker, producer, thinker, writer with us. Rashid Sharif, president of the SIMPLB. Namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat to everybody. Thank you very, very much for your time. Now, gentlemen, the idea is to not fight with each other and to create a rabble-rousing debate. It is to try and understand intellectually why is it so difficult for us to arrive at a solution which is right there. By not arriving at an amiable solution, a place of astha for the Hindus being held by Muslims, are we not underlining what Muhammad Ali Jinnah had said, that Hindus and Muslims cannot live together? That's what the whole grounds of partition were, and those were the statements. Are we again continuing to hold that Muslims of Bharat are continuing to uphold what Jinnah is saying? Are Hindus of Bharat not willing to understand and even expect this much from their Muslim brethren, that whatever is a place of astha for Hindus should remain with the Hindus? Is it so difficult to arrive at that we need legal sanction and ASI to tell everybody what everybody can see? My opening preamble has been a little long, but I've just tried to set context. Now it is over to all of you to please try and deliberate, discuss this and explain and understand. Let's understand this together. We'll start with Ratan Sharda ji. Ratan ji.
Well, Anand, I think the ball is in the court of Islamic scholars and Muslim leaders, because Muslim people have hardly any voice. For them, they would live happily rather than getting into unnecessary confrontation. If you look at the people going to Ram Mandir, even Muslims going to Ram Mandir, and the way they welcome the Ram Mandir, you can understand the psyche and the thinking of the general Muslim people. Now, when somebody issues a fatwa against the All India Imam Chief, Dr. Umar Ilyasi, for going to Ram Mandir, you realize the mindset of this very highly Salafist and highly Wahhabi kind of mindset, which is not Indian. If you look at the Islam practice in India and entire Southeast Asia, it has been more of a syncretic religion with the old culture, the old social norms. But these people are trying to impose the kind of Saudi Arabian Salafism, which is outdated. Even Saudi Arabia is coming out of it. They are also trying to teach Indian text in their own country and also liberalizing the society. If you go by that understanding, naturally it is for Indian Muslims who have no relation to the invaders. Problem is when the Ram Mandir agitation began and we talked of 3 mosques, the mullah families of this Islamists tried to show it's a confrontation against Muslims. It was not. It was an urge to go back to our roots and reclaim what is ours, the only civilization which survived of hundreds of years of continuous attack. And these people, the normal Muslims who are also from Indian origin, 99.9% Muslims have Indian origin. We did not convert, they converted. Apart from that, their traditions, their history, their entire culture is similar to ours. If you see the kind of majars and these majars and all dargahs that are worshipped in India, in Islamic countries, this is not allowed. That means we had a different mindset. We had a mindset which is very open. And just till the 75, 80, when the Arabic dollars came, petrodollars tried to radicalize the Islamic society, you would not be able to distinguish between a Muslim and a Hindu or a Christian. This began after this petrodollars came. Now they have come out of that particular mindset. Why can't our Muslim brothers? That is the question. And if that happens, every solution is possible. To sit on a property which clearly is does not belong to the Muslim society, basically because they were a part of the invaders. Secondly, the kind of proofs that are coming up. See, whether these scholars who come and fight on the TV, whether they understand that, whether they are reading the real Islam, like you said, the property with no clear title, etc., etc. Do they really follow that? When they say this is our mosque, you should not touch it, etc., which means they are basically not following the Islamic Islamic tenets. And they have 5 lakh Muslim mosques which are never touched. See, the 5 lakh mosque in India which is not even touched. So few of them, a few hundred or thousands of them, which don't belong to them anyway, should be very open to being really sent back to Hindus and gain wonderful goodwill.
True. राशिद शरीफ साहब, आप क्या कहेंगे? आपका मत इसमें क्या है? क्या एक एमिकेबल सोल्यूशन, यानी मिल बैठ के समझना कि देखिए जहाँ पर इस्लाम के जो नियम हैं उसके तहत आप वहाँ पर नमाज अदा नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि वो ज़बरदस्ती ली गई ज़मीन है, वो वक्फ ज़मीन नहीं है, शरिया के हिसाब से नहीं बनी है, तो वहाँ आप नमाज नहीं पढ़ सकते अगर आप इस्लाम को समझते हैं तो। हिंदू मानते हैं कि वहाँ मंदिर था, पर हिंदू के पास मंदिर है नहीं, मुसलमान वहाँ मुस्लिम पढ़ नहीं सकते, लेकिन फिर भी ज़बरदस्ती जाकर वहाँ नमाज अदा कर रहे हैं। ये फिर अगर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है तो फिर क्या है?
आनंद जी, आज 75 साल हो गए हम लोग को आजाद होके। इससे पहले ये देश अंग्रेजों के हाथ में 200 साल था, उसके बारे में क्या बताएंगे आप? उससे पहले मुगल के हाथ में था देश, उसके बारे में आप क्या बताएंगे? आज जो निजाम स्टेट में, मैं हैदराबाद में रहता हूँ, यहाँ पे पूरे निजाम के जोड़ियां थे। आज भी मेरी बिल्डिंग के नीचे अगर आप ऐसो फाउंडेशन खोदेंगे तो निजाम के प्रॉपर्टी आए, निजाम के हाउसेस निकलेंगे, निजाम के ऐसो पूरे महिला निकलेंगे यहाँ पे। अगर आप 500-600 साल का किस्सा आज लेके बैठेंगे, जब आजाद देश में बैठे हुए हैं हम भी और आप भी मिलके है सो ये आजादी की जंग लड़के है सो आज आजाद हुए हैं। आज एक मसला बाबरी मस्जिद का उठा था, आस्था के उस पे है सो हम छोड़ दिए उसको, आज वहां पे राम मंदिर बना हुआ है। आज दूसरा निकाल के ज्ञानव्यापी का बैठ गए आप। अगर ज्ञानव्यापी के बारे में फिर इस तरीके से अगर आस्था को आदत बना लेंगे ना, ये गलत है आज आनंद जी, ये बिल्कुल गलत है। आदत नहीं बनाना चाहिए इसको। आस्था थी, बराबर सुने हर मुसलमान। बाबरी मस्जिद के बारे में बिल्कुल, आज चलो राम मंदिर बन गया, चलो खुश है हम लोग, चलो भाई आपकी आस्था थी, मिल गया आपको, राम मंदिर बन गया। अब आप निकालेंगे ज्ञानव्यापी के बारे में, उसके बाद निकालेंगे मथुरा के बारे में, यही काम रह गया हमारे को।
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है राशिद भाई। आप जिस तरह से इसको बोल रहे हैं, किसी का घर अगर वहां पर था और वहां कुछ और बना, वो बात अलग है सर। अगर किसी की इबादत की जगह, किसी की आस्था की जगह वहाँ बनी है, और ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि आज़ादी के बाद इस जनरेशन के मुसलमानों ने किया है या भारत के मुसलमानों ने किया है। जो बाहर से आए थे वो एक पॉलिटिकल तारुफ लेके आए थे, उन्होंने 30,000 से ज़्यादा भारत के मंदिरों को नष्ट किया है। राम जन्मभूमि है सर, कृष्ण जन्मभूमि है। राशिद भाई, आप खुद ही इसको समझते हैं। और काशी में आदि विश्वेश्वर है। यहाँ पर ये तो हिंदुओं की आस्था की जगह है ना, इबादत की जगह है ना। अब देखिए, अगर मैं आपको मिसालें देना शुरू करूंगा तो फिर वो बात तीखी लगेगी, कड़वी लगेगी आपको। मेरा बस इतना ये कहना है, ऐसी जगह पर आप मस्जिद नहीं बना सकते जो जगह पाक नहीं है, ठीक है।
आनंद जी, आज नहीं बनाया ना मस्जिद।
नहीं, आज नहीं बना है,
बनी नहीं है।
मैं आपसे वो कह रहा हूँ ना, मैं आपसे वही तो कह रहा हूँ। पर आप खुद ये मानेंगे कि वो मस्जिद नहीं है ना वो जगह। अगर एक मंदिर के ऊपर जबरदस्ती बनाई गई है तो वो तो वापस दे देनी चाहिए जिसकी है ना प्रभु। इसमें हमने दे दी, आपने ले ली, ऐसा है ही नहीं इसमें। मेरा और देखिए राम जन्मभूमि भी आपने दी नहीं सर, कोर्ट के फैसले ने उनको दिया हिंदुओं को। नहीं, राम जन्मभूमि में भी नहीं राशिद भाई, राम जन्मभूमि के मामले में हर किसी ने यही कहा, कोर्ट जो फैसला करेगा वही हम करेंगे। नहीं तो फिर 90 के दशक में पीस कमेटी ने तय कर लिया था, तब तो समझौता हो गया था, पर समझौता टूटा क्यों? फिर क्यों कहा कि कोर्ट जो फैसला करेगा उसी पर हम जाएंगे? अगर आपको लगता है कि आस्था है तो हिंदुओं की जगह जो है वो हिंदुओं को दे दीजिए, क्योंकि वहां मुसलमान वैसे भी जाकर नहीं पढ़ सकते हैं एज पर द टेनेट्स ऑफ इस्लाम। मेरा ये कहना। अभी देखिए, एक और बड़ी बात आ गई है, अब ये इजाजत भी आ गई है कि तहखाना में पूजा फिर से की जा सकती है, क्योंकि तहखाने में पूजा, ज्ञानवापी के तहखाने में पूजा Hindu side has got permission from the courts to do puja in the Vyas Ka Tekhana portion of the Gyanvapi area, and the puja will start in that area. Now this is a very, very big development. Why? Because this puja was being offered even till 1993, and as on 15th August 1947 also the puja was being offered in this Tekhana in this area, and Hindus were being stopped. Now please understand, Dushyant Sridhar, please explain this. Is it so difficult for us to come into a compromise, or is it now become an aspect of ego that one will try and flex muscle over the other, or one will continue to flex muscle over the other?
Namaskaram Anand. Namaskaram to my fellow panelists. Three points that I would like to speak about, Anand. The first, the verbal testimony, which we call as Shabda Shastram in Sanatana Dharma Hinduism, are the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Itihasas and the Puranas. The Itihasas and the Puranas especially make special mention about incidents and the places which are associated with the incidents. Let's take a popular Katha Bhagam that we have been reciting time and again. Krishna was born to his parents in a jail premises. He was born on the banks of river Yamuna. He was born in Mathura. So there is a mention of the place, there is a mention of the river, and there is a mention of that particular spot, that which is the jail premises. Same is the case with the Ramayana, where it is said that Rama was born to Dasharatha and Kaushalya in the Rajamahalam, which we call as Janmasthan today, where there is a temple. So in Sanatana Dharma, there has been a practice of revering one place over the others. So for example, the entire Kashi is important, but there are certain spots in Kashi which are very well associated with the Puranas. Maybe some of the Western religions may not have this practice. That's okay, but Sanatana Dharma believes in it. Point number one. Point number two, a fortnight back I was asked by many of them as to why did the Honorable Prime Minister make up or visit many popular temples in the south of the India. I didn't give them this particular answer because some of them will feel offended. You know why? Because the most ancient, the existing large worshipping temples of India are in the south of India. They are not in the north. Why? Correct. Because most of the temples which were large, ancient, were razed. They were demolished. Tell me one large temple that can even match half the size of Srirangam in the north, because they were all demolished. So there is a scar left, especially in the generations of the people who have lived in the north of India, not so much in the south about this demolition. Point number two. Point number three. So point number one spoke about how the Janmasthan is important, how the Tirtha is important. Point two said that most of the temples which were large, ancient and rich in the north of India were razed by the invaders. Point number three is the only way forward is to maintain peace and harmony where. This is my suggestion, or probably I don't know, I'm too small a person to be anything suggesting like this. If the community, because none of the Muslims today are responsible for anything that happened in the past, Anand, let's be clear about it. But they still have that onus on telling that, okay, these are what my brothers want. I know that Mathura is very important for them. See, to a practicing Muslim, Mathura may not be important. That's okay. But that Muslim, for the very fact, knows that his brothers and sisters who belong to the Hindu faith treat Mathura as very important. All our compositions are on Krishna are based on Mathura. So if the Muslim community comes forward and says, okay, as a beautiful sign of harmony, let's not even get into the court. See, there is a Pratyaksha Pramanam which Gyanvapi doesn't need an ASI survey first of all, and the ASI survey is just corroborating whatever is seen through our eyes. And then there are accounts written even during those emperors' time that this was demolished and a mosque was constructed. So you have all kinds of sources. But if the Muslim community comes forward and says, for the sake of my brothers and sisters, for the sake of progress of my country, I'm giving Gyanvapi and Mathura, trust me, Anand, Hindus are so magnanimous and so mad after love that they will construct temples for Muslims. I'm not telling mosques, they will construct temples for Muslims, because when we have had temples for actresses, we will construct temples for some of the Muslims who are peace loving. So I feel the onus is also on the Muslim community, where they say that peace is important. Take these two temples. You know, the moment they give it to us, you should see the mahal, what we call as mahal, the atmosphere in the country. It will all be vibrant. You will see that they'll be worshipped, they'll be revered, they'll be loved. This is how we can bring harmony. Every time going to the court, doing an ASI survey, and then the report comes and then saying that I won't believe in the survey. All this wouldn't serve purpose, and this is going to just build more acrimony, and this is going to build only more mistrust, which should not be the aim. Both you, I, or anybody on the panel desires only progress for India, and this is the only way forward. And trust me, Anand, my last conclusive statement, I can say, when the Indian Muslims do this, they will set the benchmark for most other Muslims living in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, as to how this particular land has brought Satvika Gunam and peace in them, and this will become the trademark or the benchmark for most of the Muslim countries which they can ape.
Now, here is the counter. Before I bring in Atikur Rahmanji, you make a very valid point. Now, the counter here is that if Muslims in India were to cede, these places are largely victory monuments. Let's accept this. Core Muslim scholars, believers of the Holy Book and followers of the tenets of the Holy Quran will not go and offer this one there. But there are still people who are going there and saying, no, we have to offer prayer here only. So nobody is correcting them, nobody is stopping them. So there must be a reason behind that. The other thing is the Hindu majoritarianism, or the Hindus trying to flex muscle to tell the Muslims, see, we have shown you your place. Now this is a counter fear. On the one hand, you are saying that Muslims should show a larger heart, and the community should give back the temples which have been destroyed in the past for no fault of theirs. But Dushyant, Sridhar, this is the other aspect. That will Hindus also understand this magnanimity in the true spirit, or will they then start playing this supremacist game?
Anand, if the Hindus of the present or of the past were of this attitude of showing supremacist, trust me, the two-nation theory said that there should be a nation exclusively for Muslims. That did become, and I'm not talking about the state in which that country is, that is not my consideration. But the other country in the two-nation theory, the other one was India. And in India, we have had Muslims who have gone to become the president. Muslims who have gone to become, many Muslims have gone to become the chief justices of India. Some of the movie icons which who are revered and loved by people across the country are Muslims. So Muslims have managed to be victorious and be very successful in all spheres. So the supremacist attitude has never been in the blood of the Hindus, and the Muslim brothers and sisters today will surely understand. We have been living together for centuries. They will surely understand that this is there in our blood to never show the supremacist attitude. Till now, we still call ourselves a secular country. People do say it will become a Hindu Rashtra. Even before putting the word secular, what were we? We were secular by nature. We were people who respected all religions. So this attitude can never be there. But On the other hand, if this acrimonious attitude of saying show the proof, when proof is visible, Anand. See, Gyanvapi, does anyone in the best of minds say that we need an ASI survey for this? I am quite flabbergasted even at this very statement. But there are wonderful solutions, workable solutions, harmonious solutions, which will put them on a very high moral pedestal. That is so important. You know, Hindus will just love them. And this, we still love them. See, there's no question of
I'm just saying that
that respect increases.
Not just respect, the conflict, the frictures which are there, they will be brought together and they will be bonded. That I'm just saying that just a handful of people rabble rousing cannot become the people representing crores of moderate Muslims who want to walk a different path. Atikur Rahman, where do you stand on this, Atikur Rahman? Thank you for your patience. Yes, I can, Atik. Yes, I can. Please go ahead, please.
Well, can you repeat the question, or should I,
I'm just saying, where do you stand on this? Where do you stand on this?
Well, see, Anand, please give me some time, please, because this is a very, very good discussion. You know, we are going extremely on a very, very right track. Both Mr. Ratan Sharda ji and Mr. Dushyant Sahab both have, asked for the ball to be rolled in the Muslim court, not in the government side, which I do not agree with. If you are, putting the entire ball and the game on the Muslim side, then there are several questions I would like to ask them. Which Muslim organization the present government regime recognizes to be true? The All India Muslim Personal Law Board, every time they charge them with several, this thing. Ratan Sharda ji is on record saying that this is not the only organization representing the Muslims of India. Which Ulema Council, which Maulana, which Muslim group, all have been tarnished day and out every day in the last, 5 to 9 years. That put aside, Anand. We are, here, and I agree completely 200% with Mr. Dushyant that there can be an amicable solution. But how? Now here we will start from. How can we have an amicable solution? Either, Anand, we will have to establish, as it was in the days of the Ayodhya movement, a National Integration Council minus the political parties. I underline the fact that minus the political parties, only the religious leaders from India, selected ones, and very eminent people from all universities, scientists, and the bureaucrats, even the judiciary, eminent people who don't have any, backgrounds or this, they are known to be very much, amicable people, eminent people. So we can start from there, Anand. Now, what you are placing your arguments, Anand, I object to that. What you are placing the argument is on the basis of Astha, faith. So I would question you, are we in India discussing faith or are we discussing the constitution? Because when the Bambiya Buddhas were demolished, those, Taliban were placing the same arguments as you are placing your argument. And Erdogan, what he did in Turkey with the Hagia Sophia, was also basing his argument on the same lines as you are basing your argument with the Hindu Astha. So we have to first of all, Anand, decide whether we need to have an amicable solution on the lines of faith or constitution, judiciary and law.
Okay. Now, Atikur Rahman ji, the simple point is, when you look at the Taliban is exclusivist. That means Islam and only Islam and nobody else. Erdogan is exclusivist. Islam and only Islam and nobody else. When we talk about Bharat and when we talk about Bharati Astha, we are just saying, just return our temples. We are not taking anything else. That's the point that the Hindu Paksha is trying to make. Please understand, there is a very big difference. Here in Bharat, the Hindu way has always been inclusive. Islam came to Bharat in Trishur, by my birthplace, at the time of Prophet itself, in the 6th century AD. At the time of soon after the passing of Jesus, St. Thomas was in Bharat. Christianity came in the first century itself. So, and it has continued to be here. It's not that it's not been done. Nobody is saying that we will convert a genuine mosque into a temple. No, sir. What we are saying is that a temple that was broken about, and it was done 500, 600 years ago by invaders who were against Bhut-parasti. They treated Hindus as infidels, non-believers and infidels. This entire aspect of Bhut-parasti also emerged from the Buddhas. That's why the Bamiyan Buddhas were destroyed. And it's not the first time they were destroyed. My point is, sir, my point, sir, is that this is a matter of astha of Hindus which must be respected by Bharatiya, other Bharatiya. Because if the aspect, the astha and the faith of Muslims in Bharat should be respected by everybody else, then is it wrong for Hindus to expect that their astha, their places of worship and their old temples, their civilizational and cultural bulwarks should be respected by everybody else? Nobody is questioning your choice of a faith. But your faith also does not allow you to go and pray at a place which has been built over somebody else's place of ibadat or prayer or worship, sir. So, this is, please don't conflate, and please don't bring in Taliban, and please don't bring in Pakistan, and please don't bring in Erdogan here. So, Ratan Shardaji wanted to say something, and then I'll go back to Rashid Sharif and Dushan Sridhar. Yes, Ratan Shardaji.
See, Atikurji has made a fundamental flaw in his argument when he tries to create a dichotomy between faith and constitution. We Bharatiyas have full faith in constitution. We have had constitutions in our old age also, ancient times also. It was always equitable. You read Mahabharata, you read Ramayana. The king and the followers and the praja had always had very well-defined duties, very well-defined dharma. And king was supposed to support every person irrespective of that person's faith. This has been done for ages, and that is the basis of the constitution. So when you teach Hindus that faith is not equal to constitution, you forget that our faith is what sustained our democracy when all our neighbors lost the democracy and turned into either fundamentalist states or lawless states. And to say that, this is actually a history. So the civilizational wounds of hundreds of years, if you want the civilizational wounds to be cured, then all of us to work together. It does not affect anybody's faith when any mosque has been built wrongly as per even your own tenets, and nor has been anybody's else's issue when you say it will hurt constitution. How does hurt a constitution if a wounded civilization wants to redress its pain without disturbing anybody else? See, in case of Ayodhya, you will remember when Babri was brought down, not a single mosque in entire Ayodhya or Faizabad was touched. That is a Hindu thing. So it was only faith, it was only the resentment against one particular structure, not against any other Muslim structure. No mosque was touched across. If that is so, you realize what is the lying in the Hindus' hearts. So don't frame it in that way. Talk of Hagia Sophia. Does he condemn it? If he condemns Hagia Sophia conversion, I can understand. But no Muslim leader, no thinker ever criticized. You condemn now, but has anybody condemned what has done? Yes. But now you are doing it because now you are confronted with a
let us not shout over each other. We are all erudite. We don't need to do that. Yeah.
So basically what I mean is that as a general principle, if it is not hurting anybody's else's place of worship, when it is not disturbing any kind of relation, only in India we have common symbols, you have got common things which were withstood of time, and Hindus have let it be. They have not asked for every mosque. When agitation started, Vishnu Hindu Parishad, RSS asked just for three places of worship, which were Ayodhya, Kashi, Mathura. At that time, the leadership of the Muslims, especially Maulvis and their leftist friends, they did not agree to it. Now the situation is coming. Every Hindu has some say. It's a democracy. You can't stop it. So it is for. That's why I said you don't talk government, don't talk judiciary. Then you feel you are under pain. But Hindus have to prove their own place of worship. That is creating more resentment. The evidence is open. History is open. Everything is recorded. In case of Ram, at least you said there is nothing available. Then ASI came into picture. They gave scientific evidence. In case of Mathura, Kashi and many other mosques built over temples, the evidence is so open.
No, and not just that, it's visible for all of us, sir. Point is, sir,
yes,
these are places which are visible to all of us. You said no politicians will come in. It is the communities which allowed the politics to come into play. Had the communities resolved this altogether, Nobody is saying that all mosques in Bharat have to be vacated. Sorry, sir. I will be one of the first to stand there and say a mosque that is a proper mosque, which has been built as per the tenets of the Holy Book, nobody should touch a mosque like that. But a mosque that's been built over a place of somebody's astha, over a mandir, then it makes sense to hand it back to the Hindus, because Hindu जब भी उसको देखेगा उसको लगेगा यार ये मंदिर के ऊपर ये मस्जिद बना के ये वहाँ पढ़ रहे हैं नमाज, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है, ये हमारे भाई बहन कैसे हो सकते हैं. It will continue to sow those seeds of divide, sir. That's the point I'm trying. I mean, our constitution talks about Ram Rajya. Original constitution had on the first page Ram Sita. The same constitution also had Akbar. The same constitution also had Buddha, Mahavira. It had all the references. It is because they're all integral to our culture. That's the reality. Dushyant Sridhar, correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
Very true, Anand. Anand, when we talk about Gyanvapi or we talk about the place of worship of the Muslims that they cling to in Mathura, we are not talking about the other mosques. For example, there is a large mosque which has been worshipped by the Muslims in Shivaji Nagar, Bangalore. Does anyone talk about dispute there? Does anyone talk about any other mosque called the Thousand Lights in Chennai? No. It's very specific to these three places, because I've told you at the commencement itself, the north of India is bereft of large temples because it was the victim of such plundering, looting and razing. So it is at least these three places is what has been the argument, not today. There have been building, rebuilding. If you get into the history, it is a bloodshed history. There's so much movements of Mathura and Kashi that is filled with blood. So we don't want anything of it. And second point, Anand, one of my esteemed panelists did say that we should be respecting the constitutions. We should be beginning from there and not talk about faith. In that scenario, when the debate or discussion is brought about uniform civil code, then where does faith play a role? Then everybody should agree to uniform civil code, right? There everybody should be agreeing to the directive principles, and then they should be agreeing. At that point in time, again faith will come stating that faith states that this is okay for polygamy, okay for child marriage. So you cannot keep changing your goalpost every now and then. And of course, the esteemed panelist was also saying, giving examples of countries like Afghanistan and Turkey where all things were happening wrongly. In that case, isn't it also a matter of faith when people choose to protest selectively? When there was a war happening between Ukraine and Russia, when people were still dying, nobody protested because that time there was no faith involved. The moment it turned into Israel and Gaza, immediately people said that we will protest. Why? Because there is a matter of faith involved. So whether it is a matter concerning internationally where there is a faith involved, or with respect to our constitution, I feel, and you brought the right point, Anand. You did speak about the beautiful portrait of Bhagavan Sri Ram and Sita in our constitution book itself. If the constitution, which is regarded so holy by all of us, is regarded holy by all communities, then shouldn't this issue of Ram Janmabhoomi be resolved so amicably at the start, even without the movement in 1990s and all of that? Where did that point in time, the thought about constitution and what the content goes inside the constitution go? So my humble submission and request is we should not just keep changing the goalpost. When immediately there is an issue raised, we say that there should be a survey. When the survey results come out, we say we will not agree with the survey. Then what is to be done?
No, but who is not? That's what. See, that's where my question is.
Committee, Anand, Anand, just one point. See, a suggestion was made that there should be a panel constituted where there are people who are bereft of any political affiliations. I will tell you, Anand, every living being who is living in India has some political affiliation. They may not say it openly. So I don't know whether it is political or apolitical. My point is there has never been a reconciliation, or there has never been a committee that has tried to at least understand and help heal the wounds of the past. Now we are trying to say we can still do it. We still have the opportunity to do it. The literacy levels have risen. The awareness has risen. So I think people who have lived here for centuries know what kind of people Hindus are. We have been very accommodative and we always respect somebody else's faith.
See,
so in such a scenario, I rightly feel, as what I've said, the ball is always on the side of the Muslims. And of course the question was asked, which party of Muslims should be treated as genuine? I feel all the common Muslims who are living in India, they themselves constitute one large chunk.
Yes.
We don't need any panels. They represent the Muslims and we will take whatever they say.
No, and it's not about this giving and taking. राशिद साहब, एक है कि कहीं ये माइंडसेट, कहीं आप इस माइंडसेट से एग्री करते हैं कि एक टाइम था जब हम 30% 70 पे राज करते थे, आज आपका चल रहा है, कल फिर आएगा एक वक्त आएगा जब हम 30 फिर से काबिज होंगे. ये डू यू एग्री विद अ माइंडसेट लाइक दिस इन टुडेज भारत? डू यू थिंक? और कहीं आपको लगता है कि ये सब उसका मैनिफेस्टेशन है?
यही डर है सर आनंद जी, इसी बात का डर है. जो आज हम कर रहे हैं कल यही चीज है सो आगे हो नहीं पाए. आज आप देखिए हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब राम मंदिर जाते हैं, वहाँ पे काम काज देखते हैं. सीएम योगी साहब जाते हैं, काम काज देखते हैं. हमारी नजर राम मंदिर पे किस तरीके से इन्वॉल्व होके ये लोग जो काम किए हैं. वहाँ पे बाजू जो 5 एकड़ जमीन दिए थे, अगर वहाँ पे मस्जिद के लिए भी ये लोग इसी तरीके से इन्वॉल्व होके अगर वो मस्जिद बना देते, जिस तरीके से राम मंदिर बनाए उस तरीके से
सर, लेकिन मुस्लिम पक्ष में
अच्छा मैसेज जाता था.
पर रशीद भाई,
अच्छा मैसेज, आनंद जी
रशीद भाई, सॉरी मैं आपको टोक रहा हूँ, लेकिन वहाँ मुस्लिम पक्ष ने ही कहा कि हम खुद देख लेंगे. और एक और बात आपको बताऊं कि मस्जिद के लिए भी जो डोनेशन गए ना, 40% उसका जो डोनेशन अभी तक रकम इकट्ठा हुई है हिंदुओं ने दी है सर. नहीं, अब आप बात को भटकाइए मत. मैं आपको ये बोल रहा हूँ, मैं आपसे एक बात पूछ रहा हूँ.
जी बोलिए.
जेरूसलम में आसपास में अगर कोई कहेगा कि नहीं मुझे वहाँ पर जाकर मस्जिद बनानी है या फिर मंदिर बनाना है, आप बनाने देंगे? मक्का मदीना में कोई जाकर कहेगा कि पहले कभी यहाँ पर शिव का मंदिर हुआ करता था तो हमको भी ज़मीन दे दीजिए, हम वहाँ पर शिव का मंदिर बना देंगे? कभी नहीं होगा. लेकिन फिर भी मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आप भारत में देखिए, अयोध्या में राम जन्मभूमि में वहाँ पर कुछ मीटर दूर, किलोमीटर दूर ये भी कह दिया गया कि देखिए कोर्ट ने फैसला दिया 5 एकड़ जमीन होगी और यहाँ पर मस्जिद बनेगी. तो हिंदुओं ने कहा हाँ बनने दीजिए. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ जब
मैं पूछ रहा हूँ,
अरे सर मुस्लिम पक्ष ने बोला कि हम खुद बना लेंगे. अरे सर मुस्लिम पक्ष ने ना मुस्लिम पक्ष ने कहा कि हम बना लेंगे. अब उन्होंने नहीं बनाया तो आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर को क्यों दोष दे रहे हैं? मैं आपसे ये पूछ रहा हूँ रशीद भाई, रशीद जी, कि जो जगह पर नमाज अदा होगी तो कबूल नहीं होगी, उस जगह पर आज भी मुसलमान क्यों बैठे हैं और उस जगह को क्यों घेर के बैठे हैं? ये कह रहे हैं क्योंकि वो वही जगह है जहां हिंदू कहते हैं हमारे तो इष्ट भी वहां बैठे हैं, विराजमान है, हमें वो जगह दे दीजिए. और आप कह रहे हैं कोर्ट में जाओ. ये क्यों कोर्ट, इसके लिए कोर्ट में क्यों जाना?
ये हमारे को मालूम नहीं, हम थे नहीं 500 साल
नहीं, पर अभी तो आप है ना, अभी तो आप है ना, अभी आप क्यों नहीं दे रहे? नहीं, पर रशीद जी मैं कह रहा हूं अभी क्यों नहीं दे रहे हैं? अभी जो देश के मुसलमान हैं अपने हिंदू भाई बहनों के लिए ये जगह क्यों नहीं छोड़ रहे हैं? मैं आपसे अभी पूछ रहा हूं, अभी क्या माइंडसेट से नहीं छोड़ रहे हैं?
बाबरी मस्जिद की बात हुई थी, वो छोड़ दिए.
नहीं, बाबरी मस्जिद नहीं छोड़े सर. बाबरी मस्जिद नहीं छोड़े. मैं बोलना नहीं चाहता हूं बाबरी. नहीं, ये जब नहीं रशीद जी, जब आप कोर्ट में जाएंगे ना, एक केस हारेगा एक केस जीतेगा, कोई हारेगा कोई जीतेगा. तो किसी को हार फील होगी, कोई जीत का जश्न मनाएगा. ये हार जीत जब तक चलती रहेगी तब तक ये प्रॉब्लम रहेगा. इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूं कि समरसता के साथ में मिलकर बैठ के हिंदुओं की जो जगह है वो छोड़ दें, क्योंकि मुसलमान वैसे भी वहां इबादत नहीं कर सकते. मैं आज की तारीख में आपने नहीं किया, अगर आपने नहीं किया तो जिसने गलत किया उसी को आप अभी भी कंटिन्यू करने की बात क्यों कर रहे हैं? मैं यही बात बार बार पूछ रहा हूं और इसका सीधा जवाब कोई नहीं दे पाता. क्यों नहीं देते?
नहीं सर, आज हम आंखों से बाबरी मस्जिद देखे, आज हम आंखों
रशीद भाई मैं आपसे एक बात पूछता हूं.
मस्जिद देख रहे हैं
रशीद भाई, नहीं रशीद भाई,
क्या है
रशीद भाई, मैं आपसे
ये नहीं देख रहे. आज
मैं आपसे बस एक सिंपल पॉइंट ये पूछ रहा हूं रशीद भाई, एक सिंपल पॉइंट मैं आपसे एक सिंपल पॉइंट ये पूछ रहा हूं कि अगर आपको पता होता कि जहां आप वजू करने जा रहे हैं वहां बीचों बीच शायद एक शिवलिंग है, तो आप फिर भी वहां बैठ के वजू करते क्या?
बिल्कुल नहीं करते सर. हमारा
तो फिर आप एक बात बताइए,
वजू नहीं करते.
तो फिर आप
हम ये देख रहे हैं कि ये फाउंटेन है, आप बता रहे हैं कि ये शिवलिंग है. अगर शिवलिंग है तो हमारा वजू बिल्कुल
नहीं. मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ कि अगर कोई आपका हिंदू भाई बहन वहाँ काशी में आदि विश्वेश्वर हो या कहीं पर भी हो, आकर ये कहे कि रशीद भाई देखिए जहाँ आप वजू कर रहे हैं हमें लग रहा है कि वो वहाँ पर शिवलिंग है. आज नहीं बोले हैं, आज की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, आज से 30-40 साल पहले बोल चुके हैं.
जी।
हाँ, और फिर भी कोई वहाँ पर 40 साल से हर रोज़ आकर वज़ू कर रहा है, उस व्यक्ति का क्या माइंडसेट है भाई, आप मुझे बताइए।
बिल्कुल सर, मैं आपकी बात पे बिल्कुल 100% एग्री हूँ। 500 साल पहले क्या ये लोग कम थे? जब ये चीज अगर टूटती है या टूट रही थी तो आप रोक सकते थे, क्योंकि आपका आस्था था, आपकी मंदिर थी, आपकी मंदिर
रोका
थी।
सर,
आज क्यों
कोशिश की
500
सर,
साल के बाद लेके
रोका
बैठे
सर,
आप?
रोका सर, कोशिश की सर, रोका सर, कोशिश की सर, और उसके 70-80
अंग्रेजों
साल
के
बाद
दौर
वहां
में,
पर
अंग्रेज
उन्हीं
दौर में,
मंदिर के
अंग्रेजों
टुकड़ों को
में
लेकर,
दौर में
उन्हीं
कर लेना
मंदिर
था
के
सर।
टुकड़ों को लेकर उस मस्जिद को और बड़ा भी करने का काम किया। वो भी इस एएसआई की रिपोर्ट में लिखा है। मैं आज कह रहा हूं, आज की तारीख में, आज की तारीख में आज का भारतीय मुसलमान भी वही चाहेगा, या फिर वो कहेगा कि जो हुआ गलत हुआ, चलिए इसको खत्म करते हैं, आगे बढ़ते हैं। ये सिंपल बात है। फाइनल वर्ड रतन शारदा जी, मैं को वाइट करना नहीं, अगर आप ये चाहते हैं तो फिर आप साफ ये कहिए कि जो हमारी जेन्युइन जगह है इबादत की, उसे कोई टच नहीं करेगा। लेकिन अगर ये किसी और की आस्था का जगह है जहां मेरी नमाज कभी कबूल नहीं होगी, तो मुझे ये जगह नहीं चाहिए, आप रख लीजिए। अगर ये बात होती तो इस्लाम बड़ा होगा सर, छोटा नहीं होगा, और भारत का मुसलमान दुनिया में सबसे बड़ा होगा, छोटा नहीं होगा। और उसके साथ साथ क्या होगा, भारत का हिंदू भी दुनिया में सबसे बड़ा होगा, छोटा नहीं होगा। That's the reality, sir. रतन शारदा जी, फाइनल वर्ड।
देखिए, इन्होंने कहा कि मुझे कुछ पता नहीं। अगर आप इसका मतलब आप इतिहास को नहीं मानते, आप साइंस को नहीं मानते, आप कहते कि वो फव्वारा है कि शिवलिंग है, तो जब कहा हिंदू पक्ष ने कि इसका टेस्ट कर लीजिए, साइंटिफिक टेस्ट कर लीजिए, इसका विरोध क्यों हो रहा है? और जहां तक हिंदू की नेचर का सवाल है, देखिए, जब राम मंदिर का रिजल्ट आया, कोई हिंदू ने जश्न नहीं मनाया, हिंदू ने उसको शालीनता से स्वीकार किया। उन्होंने जाके किसी को गालियां नहीं दी, किसी का अपमान नहीं किया। इवन मंदिर बना है, वहां 4 दिन था, आनंद आप भी थे, किसी ने भी किसी मुस्लिम पक्ष की बात की क्या? सभी खुश थे, किसी ने बात नहीं की, क्योंकि हमारे मन में सबके लिए इज्जत है। सवाल यह है कि आप जब कहते हैं कि मस्जिद वहां बनाने की मदद करते हैं, आपको पता है जब यह पता चले हिंदुओं ने कहा आपकी मस्जिद साइंटिफिक तरीके से हटा के हम दूसरी जगह दोबारा बना देंगे, आप लोग के आपके नेताओं ने विरोध किया। आप इतिहास पढ़ते नहीं, आप
नहीं, इतिहास की बात नहीं है, इतिहास नहीं है रतन शारदा जी। आई थिंक कुछ ऐसे लोगों को इन्होंने कुछ ऐसे लोगों को इन्होंने रिप्रेजेंटेशन का मौका दिया है जिनको ये अलाउ नहीं करना चाहिए था। गलत लोगों को ये, बिकॉज आई बिलीव दैट देयर आर मेजॉरिटी ऑफ मुस्लिम्स इन आवर कंट्री who want peace and who want to work together and move on. They are not fundamentalist in their mind, they are not Islamist in their mind. Let that majority come up and start speaking more often, and let there be an out of court amicable solution once and for all, that Hindus get their place of astha, Muslim retain their rightful place of astha, and everybody gets to pray where they rightfully deserve to pray, or this is their own properties. Not victory monuments and arches which show कभी हम तुम पे राज करते थे, आज कुछ और चल रहा है तो और कभी हम तुम पे फिर राज करेंगे. That mentality, if it is going to be subsided, then that has no place in Bharat. Then by the force of law, legal means, or however else, then there will be other ways to rightfully claim. And in such a situation, then sir, someone will feel victorious and someone will feel like a loser, and that will always create place for fissures and rift in the future. That's what I would like to humbly submit as we wind up. Thank you very much for a very engaging, articulate, and perhaps a very sane discussion. My thank